You can say we have global warming. Those are real phenomena. That's different than crisis. You can't have a crisis where you're far safer from the thing than you were before the crisis. It'd be like somebody said you have a terrorism crisis and terrorism went down by a factor of 50. That's not a crisis, that's an improvement in the situation, right? So we've had a climate improvement in the sense of we're so much more resilient from climate. I call it climate mastery. We've mastered the climate. So, and that can improve. And then energy transition, what that means, the long version of that is a transition, a rapid transition to net zero energy. Often renewables, we can just say net zero. Is that happening? Is that a real thing? It's not a real thing, right? We have more fossil fuels is still growing. Went down during the pandemic because the whole world lockdown because the whole world shut down, but it's increasing. So what we have is an energy addition, not an energy transition. And the addition is often unwise because it's unreliable, cost-adding sources of energy, like solar and wind. So I find it annoying, to say the least, that the energy industry is using this term it's just a fantasy that people have, but I think it's a bad fantasy because it's a fantasy that says, let's go from everything that works that's cost effective to the things that don't work in a very rapid amount of time in a world that needs much more energy. So I think a much better term to use is energy evolution. So what you do want is you want energy to improve over time. So you want it to be lower cost, more reliable, more versatile, so it can power more types of machines on a larger scale. And you do want it to be cleaner. And also I think it is legitimate to want more control over whether you emit CO2. I think that's totally legitimate. There's a real question about, is CO2 on its own net good or net bad? Because CO2 does have a lot of benefits. It has a greening influence, and the world is too cold for most people, so warming has benefits too. But it would be good if it would be ideal if you could control it. Like if you could decide. Humanity might decide, hey, let's put even more in the air, in the atmosphere, because it'll be better for us. But